All right, let's do this. Mastering Mitzvahs, Episode 1, the podcast. Jordan Marshall, Michael Langsner. It's our first time doing this.
This is our first time doing this, and it's actually the first time that I think we're sitting down and speaking to clients, to anybody listening, but what we do on the regular basis and why our jobs are so fun and unique and exciting. So
it's actually kind of wild to just be sitting across the table from each other and with barely a script and some idea where we're going to go with this.
Yes, correct. And I think that it's important that we kind of put out in the beginning kind of who we are and why we chose to do this and where we're from. So, for those of you guys who have been following the Explosive Entertainment brand, or myself, my name's Jordan Marshall, and the president and founder, really, of Explosive Entertainment. And we've had this super dope entertainment company rocking and rolling for just under 15 years now. So, Mikey, what do you got?
My story is interesting because I met Jordan when I was a banquet manager. I was running a nightclub. I was DJing at the nightclub. I became banquet manager at this nightclub, and Jordan and his team were there very frequently performing. And I took a real liking towards him and his crew. And we always talked about afterlife, what was going to happen after I got out of the nightclub business and got out of the world of being a banquet manager. And with a couple attempts, we said we were going to make this happen and we were going to get together. And finally, I think about 7 years ago, it was 2012, I came on board with Explosive Entertainment full-time, and I'm now a partner of the company as well.
And we've actually known each other for how, it's been a while, right?
Probably 15 years or so.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And, I think that both Mike and myself, in talking to all you guys out there in podcast listening world, that, we're super excited to kind of bring our mindset to you guys. If you know Mike and I, you probably know that we are two complete polar opposite personalities when it comes to just about everything we do on a daily routine. When it comes to the way that we entertain and cultivate our talent and cultivate our clients and develop our events, we take two separate approaches, but I think when you put us together, you got something special.
A little bit of a yin and a yang here. You got
a lot of bit of a yin and a yang.
if you saw us right now, Jordan's in a sleeveless, what do we call it?
I think it's a flannel. Yeah,
something like a flannel.
Pair of Jordans and
ripped jeans, and I'm wearing a corporate sweater. And,
that's it.
Somewhat dress shoes. So it just kind of tells us.
I have one tattoo out for every bar mitzvah I've done, I think, which seems like thousands.
300 to 400 easy. Yeah. So, being that this is our first podcast, why? What made us decide to do this?
It's pretty cool. So Mike and I, we go back and forth, day in and day out, trying to find new ways to bring our ideas, our excitement, our energy to the world of primarily bar and bat mitzvahs, but private events in general, mainly, being our mitzvah market, so to speak. And I think that a mitzvah podcast is something that isn't being done. We did a lot of research, and Mike will get into it in a second as well, but we did a lot of research on the podcasts and the content that is available and out there for you guys as listeners to kind of gain knowledge and gain insight on how to develop your events, and it's just not there like that. So we wanted to put something cool together and make this completely based on our opinions and the way that we kind of cultivate our events to take your next mitzvah and your private event style mitzvah to the next level.
We're very fortunate. We go to a lot of trade shows, a lot of conventions, and it seems like every time we go to one of these, the mitzvah seminars are the heaviest attended seminars at the trade shows, because there's an enigma to bar and bat mitzvahs, and there's not...
It's taboo, the bar mitzvah, right?
There's not a whole ton of people doing bar and bat mitzvahs, or at least doing them well, and I'd say in the last few years we've really gained industry and national
credit,
notoriety to what we're doing. So we wanted to give back a little bit. That's kind of what the whole podcast community is about.
Paying it forward,
giving back. And yes, we expect industry listeners. Our friends in the industry are going to be listening. We hope younger, upcoming entertainers listen and get ideas from us. But at the same time, we really want to inspire not only our clients, but clients of bar and bat mitzvahs all across the country. I mean, there's people planning these things everywhere.
100%. Future clients, past clients, even if you're not a client of ours, even if you have another entertainment company booked, but you want some cool ideas, a fresh twist, we're looking to put out weekly content on the newest, hottest most exciting, ways that you can help develop this mitzvah into something groundbreaking and something that is truly life-lasting.
So for the listeners, here's how we think we're going to go about this, and this is a whole new territory for us, so we're not plotting an exact plan, but we do intend on Jordan and I doing most of the weekly, but we're going to be bringing in guests to speak with us. These guests are going to be decorators, planners, venue owners. We even want to bring in some past clients and talk to them about their experiences working with us, things that they ran into, maybe some roadblocks or
snafus, fears, like what is the the one big thing that if you could do it all over again, maybe you would do differently, things you would have added, taken away. And these are all great notes and nuggets, as we like to call them, that you guys can take and imply them and incorporate them into your event planning development, or maybe taking a different approach to your next party that you're booking. And it's all just designed to to spread the love.
So basically, we don't know how many people are actually going to be tuning in and listening. Again, this is the first podcast. We got to figure out how to get it out on the web.
Let's be honest, bro. We're very interesting. We're cool guys, man. I feel like everyone want to listen to this, man. It'll be cool.
So let's go with it. Sometimes it's going to be Jordan doing the interview. Sometimes it's going to be me. Sometimes it's going to be both of us. We're going to have guests in here, and
sometimes we might even take the show on the road, Mikey. Maybe we're out at a location, or a hot new venue, a great place that maybe you could throw your next party, or focusing on a resource, something that maybe you're not seeing on the regular, that could be a really good help to help bring that party to new heights.
I should also say, if any listeners have any topics they want us to discuss, leave your comments below. Feel free to message us.
Yep.
We'll leave all of our sources of contact at the end of this.
Absolutely.
But the easiest way is going to be info@XEevents.com. That'll get to both of us. And we're looking forward to chatting all different ideas.
Absolutely. So we got a couple of our topics already covered here, Mikey. What do we love about this thing that we call bar, bat, b'nai, banat, mitzvah, that consumes our livelihood week in and week out. And I feel like once Saturday and Sunday roll through and we're done, it's Monday again, and we're prepping for the next weekend.
I'll tell you what I love about it is it's different than any other type of event. And we do weddings, we do corporate events, Sweet 16s, but there's nothing like a bar and bat mitzvah. And for all the wedding people out there, you are very accustomed to the term bridezilla. After doing bar and bat mitzvahs, I don't think brides are difficult at all. Mitzvahs are tough.
Mitzvahs are very tough. They are.
They also plan. Some of them are planning 2 years in advance, so it's very cool. You get to meet your clients 2 years in advance and hold their hands through the process. But sometimes the process changes. Sometimes their plans change 2, 3, 4 times. They go full circle. They meet with you and they say, we want to keep things mellow. It's going to be a quiet Saturday afternoon thing. Maybe some games. And next thing you know, it's 250 people and it's a rager.
Yep. And rager literally means crazy themes. Everything from social media to Amazing Race to sports to you name it. It really becomes a full-on engulfing of this family's livelihood, the personality of the guest of honor, and any excuse that we have to brand that or bring that into full view for the 5 hours that we're rocking, we're going to help develop it.
So what do we love about mitzvahs? Jordan, I sat with a client last night, myself and MC Mike Schaefer. We were with a client last night. They came in the office about 7 o'clock at night. We had no idea what we were walking into. They met us at a showcase. They still didn't have a venue. They didn't have a theme. It was twins, a boy and a girl. The girl loves to dance. The boy just wants to play games. And what I love about mitzvahs is 10 minutes into this conversation, we were building this crazy, outlandish plan for a party that's something we've never done before, uncharted territory.
But very realistic, as in this, a lot of these items are going to end up happening.
Sure. And they were all puzzle pieces that we've used in different scenarios, but they've never been together on the same puzzle board.
Right. Which is and that's something, guys, for all you guys listening, that is so cool. And that's really what, if we can put a little nugget out there to you, is I'm going to say it again. Embrace your brand, embrace your theme, and just always be confident and love what you're doing, love the ideas that you're putting forth, and have fun with it. Because the more fun you're having, the more fun we're going to have developing it. And I think that also too, with a client like that, it's so funny. You're sitting there and meeting with this client in office with one of our rock star MCs, Mike Schaefer, going over all these ideas, and then on the flip, I'm on the phone with a client from San Francisco, California, that is doing their entire mitzvah prep via phone and via Skype and via video call because, they have us booked out in 2020 in the Bay Area where they're flying myself, one of our lead DJs, our lead 4 entertainers out to rock their party in San Francisco. So it's so cool to, see and hear the different caliber of clients that we get on the regular, and everything from, being able to throw a rock to the family that, lives in Manalapan up the road to, obviously traveling, nationwide to perform these incredible celebrations.
For the listeners that don't know us that well, we're based out of Central Jersey. So for us to go all the way out to the Bay Area and San Francisco is pretty awesome. It's humbling, and they saw us at a party in New Jersey. They flew back home and they said they need us. And it was, was it simple? No, but they knew and they were going to pay, and we made it happen.
It's awesome.
So Jordan, what is it that you love about mitzvahs?
Man, I just love that we get to work with incredible clients day in and day out that are all completely different, that literally have their own, I guess, family makeup and development, whether you're dealing with a super extroverted, guest of honor who wants to be the center of attention and, have that crazy, roof blowing off the place, styled introduction to, being the center of their entire event for 5 hours. And then, I might meet with a client the very next day who, has maybe a son who is a little bit more introverted, and he's a little bit more laid back and doesn't really want to be the center of attention, but still wants to enjoy his event. And he's a big gamer and he loves tech. And, I just love that we get to create these amazing dance floor energies as well as activity-based, almost team-building style mitzvahs, into mitzvahs that are very tech-driven, where we might have something like, one of our options like that we call like a silent disco, or maybe we're incorporating a social media thread into the event. There's so many different elements that we can kind of put into the everyday mitzvahs that happen here, and they're all different. So I just love being able to meet different families, handle different types of events, and it just changes every day. So I love that.
I'm going to go a little off plan here, but Jordan, you're Jewish. You grew up in a Jewish household. I'm Jewish. Didn't grow up practicing nearly as much as you did. Do you think that's important for us as entertainers and business owners? Do you think it's important for clients to know that we have gone through this ourselves? We get it. But for those also who want to get into the industry, do you have to be Jewish to get this?
No, you know what? No, you don't. Is it a extra feather in your cap if you've actually gone through the process of learning your Haftorah portions, your Torah portions, going to Hebrew school all those years, on the Sundays when I wanted to be playing sports with my friends, or, going 2 times a week when everybody's hanging out or doing stuff, like it's the grind of actually being raised, Jewish to do this, have this incredible rite of passage, when you're 13. It is definitely an extra kudos, I think, to be able to really talk the talk, walk the walk, so to speak, and say, hey, listen, I totally understand what you're getting, where this party seems overwhelming. I remember when my mom was planning it, and she didn't have the beauty of things like the internet, or the beauty of Pinterest, or the beauty of social media, Instagram, Facebook, where all these pictures are at her disposal. My mom literally, remember Trapper Keepers, bro?
Of course.
Remember Trapper Keepers from back in the day? I'm taking you guys back.
Your mom probably had 4 or 5 color-coded.
Dude, she was like binder crazy, and and Jamie, my assistant, would love that. She's all about the binders. My mom was binder crazy, man, with all the tabs and her whiteout, and it was this huge, almost mitzvah Bible, so to speak. It was my mom's Torah, literally what she kind of, went to plan this event. And I just feel like now there's so many advantages to planning now. You have so much at your disposal that, I can bring that story to my families, and I can tell them that I get it, listen, and we're here to help them. And knowing that we're a mom and pop mentality kind of shop that can perform these big events, I think really puts that ace up our sleeve.
So, again, going off script here a little bit, I want to talk about relationships. We have so many relationships in the industry, not only entertainers, but venues, planners. How does that tie all in and create a smooth day for your client?
Man, and I think both of us kind of started out like this with you in the banquets, even before jumping into the full-on entertaining and event development side. You know, when you first jump in and you realize you do a good job and you're onto something, it's very much how can I help and what can I do and you know, how can I help make this event amazing. And you're kind of not for any crazy reason, but you're thinking more of yourself, so to speak, and how can I make this awesome. Whereas now I think we're at the point where we have so many great professionals, like you said, that we can lean on to create this dynamic team, from photographers to videographers to event planners that we work with to the venue staff to, you know, all these people and these different team members that come together behind the scenes. Whereas, you know, this isn't the action you're going to actually see out on the dance floor, but it's so super important. And we always say it time in and time out, you know, playing nice in the sandbox is crucial. And I think that's something that we're paying it forward. And you know what, shouting out that photographer, being like, yo, that was a dope shot you took. You know, this is so-and-so's photography from, you know, Zachary's bar mitzvah. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you check them out. You know, like just kind of being, showing that teamwork fashion really, really helps bring all the elements together. I think it makes a better environment for the family on the day of the event. I think that they rest assured knowing that as awesome as the energy is on their dance floor, that their vendors are killing it on the back end. It's lights out. That's huge.
I'm going to tell you, I kind of asked the question because it was a weighted question, because I've seen it from two standpoints. I remember when I first started DJing, probably before I was, you know, more in the bar and bat mitzvah business, but first started DJing, I'd go to these banquet halls as a DJ, I'd show up with my equipment. It was tiny equipment back then, and you know, you'd walk in and instantly the serving staff, they look at you like, another DJ.
Yep.
And they'd be like, what do you mean another DJ? I mean, you're in a job of serving guests at a party, and who's going to provide the musical background for the party? Of course it was a DJ. If not, it was a band. You know, so I'm calling out there to the families that are planning parties to book venues and book with professionals, whether it's photography, planners, decorators, that understand and know bar and bat mitzvahs, because this is not a was it one pony horse, I guess you could say,
right.
or
one trick pony.
Thank you very much.
I got you. There's a bunch of one pony horses out there. I think if you're one pony, you're also going to be a horse. That's a whole other topic.
Something like that.
Right.
The whole concept, though, we all need to work well together. Jordan said play well in the sandbox together.
Totally.
You know, a photographer can't walk in feeling like he's the most important person in the room. However, a DJ, and DJs have egos, we all know it. DJs can't walk in, though, thinking that they're the most important piece. And the caterer can't think they're the most important piece. Those puzzle pieces come together to make a stellar event. And when they all work well together, the outcome is stellar. It's flawless. It's seamless. But when there's friction and, you know, the caterer's only concern is getting the food out early, right, so that he could clean up real quick and flip the room for another party, his best interest is not the client at hand. You know, sometimes the photographer can't wait to get the formal shots out of the way so he could pack up early, you know.
I can't tell you how many times we're going into the last, you know, portion of our event and there's still, you know, formalities that need to be done, and the photographer's like, hey, can we move this along because I'm out in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Now, we're probably going to talk much more on these topics when we bring in photographers, when we sit with venue owners, but the main point here is for the families that are planning, as you're booking, we all love to book things that are different and unique and out of the box, but don't go too far.
It's got to make sense. It's totally got to make sense.
Yeah. No doubt about that. So let's go back to our little plan here.
I like it.
Jordan, biggest challenges that you see from our standpoint, from entertainers' standpoint, in bar and bat mitzvahs?
Man, you know what? I'll take this straight off the cuff on myself. You know, almost as myself as a performer. You know, I've been doing this pretty heavily for 15 years, performing high-end, boutique, exciting, one-of-a-kind events. And I think that one of my biggest challenges is staying relevant. And, you know, being almost 40 years old, you know, there are some younger, you know, cats that are in this industry that are making their way and doing some cool stuff. And, you know, staying relevant, not even just with my look and the way that I approach events, but, you know, in our neck of the woods, Monmouth County, you know, having a base, you can literally throw a rock and hit 8 DJ companies that do a good job.
But I'm going to say, even though you think that's one of your biggest challenges, I think you're in your prime right now. You know, 15 years.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
15 years.
We got to do these podcasts more often, man. He's making me feel all warm and fuzzy.
I don't compliment him as much day to day. But 15 years under your belt of solid experience, as opposed to that guy that's been doing it for 15 months.
Set behind the wheel time, man. There's no substitute for actually getting out there and ripping events, for walking into an event and being like, oh my God. So the guest of honor isn't the only autistic child in here. The entire party's autistic. Like being able to handle what life throws at families and people on the regular, and knowing that, hey, listen, these situations that are happening in the day-to-day life aren't going to be able to be put on hold for this event. You're going to have to work it in.
That's a sensitive situation,
Yep.
but it should be spoken about because, incredibly, it happens frequently these days that there's guests at events, if not the guest of honor, that has special needs, and sometimes the family clearly addresses it from day one when they're booking, and other times it's kind of a surprise until the day of for us.
Or something that, and it's, obviously families handle everything what they think is best for their culture of family, which is cool, but, sometimes it might be something that they don't want to talk about or they don't want to address. And, not that it's bad, but, the more information that we know, and we say it all the time, like the more that, you can let us know and kind of relate to us with, the more we can utilize that either to use or not to use on the day of the event and know how to kind of narrate that.
So I want to answer the question of biggest challenge for me. I feel like 90% of the families we sit with say we want to do things different.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be the same that we've seen week after week. And especially if they're booking at a venue that is very popular and
Correct.
week after week is doing bar bat mitzvahs. The challenge is how do you get out of the box when sometimes the client is afraid to get out of the box. They want to,
right?
But they keep coming back to a standard timeline. They keep coming back to, well, I still need to do a candle lighting. I still need to do a kiddush, a motzi, a hora. We could get creative, and like our appointment last night, I mean, we had some wild ideas. If they use 10% of those ideas, I think they're still going to have a very cool out-of-the-box event. Mm-hmm. But it takes a family some courage to really
sure does.
Execute out of the box.
And it's 100%. I completely agree with you. And I also think that it's hard for, when you start listing out all these ideas and different ways that you can go, and none of it is the norm, it can get overwhelming very quick. So I think sometimes for these families, it might just be easier to be like, let's just do 13 candles. It's all good. You know what I mean? Like, you had such a great idea. Obviously we're keeping the podcast, time sensitive, but, Mike had such a great idea with this client yesterday for their candle lighting, and basically, long story short, it was incorporating a lot of video, live video, and grabbing snippets of the family from different times, basically shouting out the guest of honor as a digital candle lighting ceremony. If you are familiar with bar and bat mitzvahs, I had one when I was 13. A candle lighting ceremony are usually poems, speeches, ways to call up your loved ones for 13 candles.
That's something that hasn't changed. You said you're almost 40, so
as true as trying not to play Coke and Pepsi, but having to play Coke and Pepsi, my friend.
Absolutely.
So these are things that are tried and true with bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs, and Mike had such a great idea. But I think sometimes too, when clients hear certain stuff, it's hard to just jump out of what's comfortable and be like, okay, cool. So it might be easier just to revert back to the norm,
So I think every one of these topics that we're touching will be a podcast of itself. And
Correct.
I should say our goal is to kind of keep these podcasts around 30 minutes. Again, this is our first one. There's some experimentation that's going to happen. But Jordan and I both listen to a lot of podcasts during the week.
Yep.
Some of them are 2+ hours long, and some of them are 6 minutes long. Gary Vee is pumping out 3 to 6 minute podcasts left and right. I like the shorter podcasts. Not too short, but I like while I'm driving. I got a 45-minute ride to work. If I could get a 30-minute podcast in, or 30 minutes on the treadmill in the morning.
That's it.
So our goal is keep this around 30 minutes, keep it relative.
And keep the content fresh for you guys. We want to always come back with new, exciting topics that you could literally take, cut, and paste into your development for what you're doing right there and then, and say, oh man, that was a cool idea, I could use that. And that's what it's all about, is keeping that fresh content.
So we hope to release these things weekly. And hopefully for some listeners out there, you might be listening, and we might already be at
they're going to be listeners. We're going to give you all the handles. You're going to follow this thing, because you know what? I'm telling you, mitzvahs. In this area, they are what drive the private event game, so to speak. And not to toot our own horns, but we got a pretty good handle on them, and I think you guys will pick up some really cool ideas.
So, Jordan, where do you think the future of bar and bat mitzvah is going?
Oh,
this is a tough question.
Outer space? I mean, is that the next big thing? You know what, man? It's so funny, because we literally meet with clients on the day-to-day. We create these amazing trade shows, these amazing showcases with all the hottest new extras, coolest new games. I constantly find myself watching all kinds of pop culture TV and, seeing what the hottest new, clothing lines are and the biggest in tech and just staying relevant on pop culture. That's really become our 24/7 job. So, I think the future of Mitzvahs is honestly going now, with certain companies in the area, us being one of them, that have a really, really, really good handle on mitzvah development. I think the mitzvahs are kind of going wherever we tell people to, which is pretty cool, man.
It's an interesting answer.
It's true.
It's an interesting answer. I see trends. There was a big trend of using nightclub space for bar and bat mitzvahs for a long time. In the wedding world, everything is going rustic. Barn weddings, farm weddings, outdoor weddings, tented weddings. So, where is the bar and bat mitzvah future is really an interesting question. We always say the attention span of guests is really short these days.
Yes.
So I have to say that the day of the 30-minute candle lighting, I think, has seen its end. I don't think people are going to be doing 30-minute candle lightings, and no matter which way you slice it, 13 candles, a minute and a half to 2 minutes each.
I'm saying, man, without airing out your entire game plan from yesterday, I think we're on to something with creating a pretty dope new candle.
There's a lot of companies have jumped on the Kahoot bandwagon, so let's just talk about Kahoot. We used to play a digital trivia game. Well, it used to be a trivia game where MC just sat on stage.
So say, what is Kahoot, Mike?
Asking questions. Now it's digital. Now it's all based on phones, and
if you're at a bar bat mitzvah and your event host pulls out a piece of paper to do trivia, tell him he's better than that, and that you're better than that, and that you seem better than that. Come on, guys. It's all about evolving and evolution. And it's also about knowing your abilities and doing your best to kind of conquer what you do well without trying to do outside your means. I'll be perfectly honest. When I first started in the industry and got into it, I wanted to have my hands on everything. I'm like, hey, Mike, we should do this. We should get into photography and videography and do all this stuff. And Mike was like, yo, Jordan, slow down, which is pretty much what he has to tell me on the daily. But
several times a day.
But it's cool. I go really fast, and he likes to slow me down. That's how we do it. But basically, what I was getting at is that it was so much more. It's such a better thing for me to slow down and to kind of grab what I do well and what we do well, master that, kick the you-know-what out of that, and make that amazing before trying to do a lot of little things half-assed, so to speak.
It is easier to focus on what your skill set is. I'm thinking about the future of mitzvahs, and I think they're either going to go super elegant, high-end, black tie again, or they're going to be casual. It's going to be denim and diamonds kind of thing.
Yep.
There won't be a gray area. It's going to be, you're either getting invited to this black tie, super, super high-end.
Suited and booted.
Or you're going to be going to a fun, casual. I think that's going to be the future of bar and bat mitzvahs.
I like it. You know what? And it's so funny because that's also what you guys, the listeners, are here to help. Helping to push that entertainment ball in a certain direction, it all comes with your taste and with your flavor and with the vibe that you're trying to produce. Think outside the box, get creative. Creativity doesn't always have to mean it's going to cost you $1 million. Just try to absorb something different and produce a different kind of vibe, and you're already leveling up the entire industry because it's making people think on another level, something that's not such a given. If Mike and I had $1 for every baseball theme we had, we could retire and we wouldn't have to work ever again.
So good transition.
Transitioning.
So we're closing in on 30 minutes. Jordan, if you've got one tip for a family that's listening right now, having anything to do with bar and bat mitzvahs, entertainment related, venue related, timeline planning related, what's the one tip that you would give that listener?
Like this podcast and listen to it every single week, and I promise you guys some incredible content. We're going to do this.
Damn good tip. Wow.
You got nothing on that. That's like mic drop, lights out, that's it.
I'm just going to say trust the people that you book.
Yes.
And book based on your gut. If your gut instinct is, I hope this venue could pull it off, it's the right price, but I have some fear, you're going to be nervous through that whole planning process. And
you might want to sit with another one or two venues.
Yeah. Same thing, how many times have we sat with people and they say, can you back up my photographer and just guide him? He's never done a mitzvah before. Just let him know where he should be standing, where he should be shooting, what should he be shooting. Go with your gut. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right.
Right, and the fact that you're asking your DJ where your photographer should stand, that should tell you something. Mm-hmm.
So how do you find us online, Jordan?
Oh, here we go. All right, so if you got to write this down, if you got to punch this in, now's the time to take notes. So you could check out all things that are Explosive Entertainment. If you just want to get a great overview of the company itself, you can check us out online at www.XEevents.com. That'll give you a great overview of everything that we do, from bar bat mitzvahs all the way through the gamut. You can see great videos, awesome recaps, event extra ideas, and learn a little bit about our team. That's another big thing that we didn't get to talk about this time, but we're going to get into is our team. And we're very blessed to have some serious talent on our roster.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah. So if you want to check us out on Instagram, it is at XEevents. So there's 2 E's back to back in there, XEevents. And if you want to check us out on Facebook, it's obviously facebook.com. And then you go right over there and check us out at Explosive Entertainment with an X. There's no E in there. So a lot of people get that confused. There's no E on the front end of our name. So it's Explosive Entertainment. And we got anything else? Anywhere else to check us out? Oh, you know what else you guys could do? We're going to work on getting this bad boy all over iTunes and Spotify as well, too. So the best part about this podcast is that you could actually save it, and, through Apple, they have your podcast app. You could just like it,
follow it.
Yep, and it'll just keep re-upping, so keep hitting refresh, and it'll download our newest episode.
Subscribe, that's what it is.
There
subscribe.
it is. Subscribe button.
So this is Mastering Mitzvahs. It's episode 1. I think pretty successful.
And it's about mastering our podcast lingo. We're going to get all this cool stuff for you. It's going to be great. It's going to be a nice little cool weekly endeavor that Mike and I are pleased, and it's a pleasure to be speaking to you guys on, and we're excited for the weeks to come.
I think we got some big news to release next week, too.
We do. A lot of big things are happening in the world of Explosive, and it's going to be awesome.
See you later.
See you guys next week.